Hello everyone. Welcome to the panel discussion 5, and thank you all for being here for this symposium. And I'm Madan Kumar Vasudevan. So I'm an assistant professor at IIT Roorkee. I'm a product of Touch Lab at IIT Madras. I finished my PhD in 2021 with Professor Manivan Muniandi. And here we have our title, User Interaction and Experience Design for the Global South. So for this panel, I welcome all the panel members here on stage. So once again, I welcome everyone. So our aim here today is simple. So we want to understand what the global South really needs in terms of XR solutions, and also we want to explore how XR can be made frugal and context-driven. And also we want to discuss the ecosystem and policy ideas that can help us scale these technologies responsibly. So that's the whole idea of today's panel discussion. And we have an excellent set of panelists here, speakers from different parts of the XR ecosystem. So we have from industrial frontline solutions, interaction research, AI-driven XR, human-centric design, and policy thinking. And I would like to introduce you to the panel. So we have 5 members here. So Pawan is the head of the XR interaction team at Samsung R&D Institute, and Anup, architect XR Vision at Samsung R&D Institute, and Samir Chaudhary, head of applied research in Center for XR and Metaverse, Infosys Center for Emerging Technology Solutions, and Keyur, co-founder and CEO of Plutoman, and Kuldeep Singh, global emerging technologies leader for ThoughtWorks. So thank you all for being here. So without any delay, so I would like to start for my first question to Pawan and Anup. So Pawan, since your team builds the core interaction tech for XR, so can you tell us what does frugal XR mean from a hand tracking and eye tracking perspective? So where can we simplify without losing experience?
Yeah, thanks, Madan. So I think it's a good start question for this panel. So I think when it comes to frugality, right? So when we are talking about XR, and of course when we talk about the global South, right? So frugality is definitely one of the hot topics. And so what it means is that firstly, while you are building frugal systems, while we are building immersive experiences, so the most important thing that we need to ensure at the same time is that we should not really sacrifice on the quality of the interaction experience. So because, whether you do it, because even though your goal is to make it simple, cost-effective, and things like that, but important thing is that, the user does not really care whether you have, made the system very complex, or whether you have made it with a lot of investment or with a lot of cost, stuff like that, right? So end of the day, the user is very similar across whether global north or global south. So they want to have a very good experience. So we cannot really sacrifice on quality. So especially what really happens is when you want to basically design such systems, one of the most important things where you can possibly simplify things is possibly on the hardware side. But when you are basically trying to have a very simplified hardware, then your software becomes much more complex. So in a typical system where there is hardware, there is software, and also any other framework components in between. So as you try to simplify one part of this whole ecosystem, the other thing becomes more and more complex. But end of the day, something. All of this needs to work together to be able to create a very good interaction experience. So that should not really be sacrificed. And when it comes to eye tracking, hand tracking, so if you look at some of the systems which we have, technologies that have very seamless interaction experiences, the sensor cost or the bill of material cost makes a big difference, right? So how do we kind of use simplified sensors and achieve a similar kind of experience is one of the hot topics that I think most of the corporates are also working on. So that's something that would be our areas of focus in the future to be able to scale up the products into the global south as well.
Sure, that's really a valid point, especially in terms of not compromising on the quality. That's really good. And would you like to add anything here, Anup?
Hello. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I agree to what Pawan said. Essentially, like it shouldn't be a compromise on the performance or the immersive experience just because. Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. On the performance, just because you want to make it frugal. However, like I think with time and better hardware in future, it's essentially a synchronization of many sensors. So once the solutions mature enough, probably then we can think of like how you can reduce the sensors overall and kind of like say, right now you take two tracking cameras, probably like it would come to a single tracking camera eventually. And reducing just one camera is not the point. Now it's like you say, drops make an ocean, kind of like you can continue improving the other stuff. And hardware as such has a lot of constraints because of these sensor placements. Your heat sink, the way you place these sensors, like a lot of things. There are a lot of moving parts, in fact, within the device, like your IPD sensors, there's a motor which move your entire pancake lens. So these things can be software controlled eventually, kind of overall reducing the cost of the device. But then the solution is still to mature. I think once it's in a better stage where we understand and there is also a big market looking for it, I think that would be a place where we can truly look into frugality of things.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the answer. And the next question is for Samir and Keyur. So when we say human-centric interaction design, especially for environments for factory or field environments, so what does that actually look like, the projects that you do in your projects?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So that's a very important point here, and particularly when we deal with the global south, right? We are emotional people, cultural driven, etc. So how can we bring the human centricity to all the user interactions? Today, most of the XR interactions are either static in nature or robotic in nature, etc. So people are talking about how we can have the human-centric AI for the XR, right? And that's where can I have the interaction with the machine in front of me, whether it's a computer or a VR glasses or anything, which is more empathetic in nature, more personalized in nature, more contextual in nature. And that's where I think the people across the global south will actually adopt it more if you make it like that. One or two practical examples, for example, we have seen chatbot answering your questions, etc. But today people feel chatbot is just I'm talking to a machine. Can I feel as if I'm talking to a human being? So people are implementing, we have implemented, for example, for a large manufacturing company wherein you have a blue-collar workers who do not know how to operate a VR glass or even a laptop, etc. But then the digital human who is answering their questions feel as if you are talking to a human being. So as simple as that, the avatar is hyper-realistic, but more importantly, can this avatar actually understand your emotion? So let's say you have seen the sentiment analysis from the text or the voice, etc. But based on the visual cue of my facial expression, if I'm not satisfied with the answer, probably my expression would be difficult. So the machine is actually empathizing with me saying that, hey, can I answer you better? It seems I'm not satisfied, right? So all those things are part of a human-centric XR. The other example could be, let's say, adaptive environment. I mean, we have seen in many places wherein there is a VR environment for learning, but based on, let's say, the cognitive load of my expressions, whether I receive it through the biosignal or whether I receive it through, let's say, the visual cues, etc., I adjust, let's say, the brightness of the environment or the sound of the environment, or even I make a personalized learning path based on the complexity of the course, etc. So these are the angle I think there is a need of an hour to kind of bring into the otherwise so-called robotic interaction with the machines and so on. So that's where I believe the user interaction will have lots of human-centric approach going forward.
Great, that's an interesting point. As I understand correctly, so you are trying to say that the machine or the technology has to update itself in real time depending on the human's emotions or like the needs. Basically thinking of empathizing with users in real time, not just in the
Correct.
design step in the beginning, but also in real time that has to happen.
Design time is the first step,
Yeah.
but once design is done, then the run time dynamically, just like I'm talking to you, interact based on my feeling. machine should actually interact based on how I'm feeling, etc. So that's how the user interaction will move forward.
Sure, thank you. Keyur, Samir has shared his point. Like maybe if you want to add your point, like
Yeah,
here.
we at our organization, how we typically try to focus is we, especially when we talk about factories and field environments, those are frontline workforce, correct? So those are blue collar, or I would say semi-white collars, where we typically interact. So internally, how we approach this kind of products and projects is we consider human centricity, at least in the industries, is about respecting the current realities and limitations of the frontline workforce. That's the base with which we start. And then we typically have a 3-phase approach for anything which we go in and create a solution on. So one, we call it as design for constraint. Typically what it is that frontline workers, especially in global south, they would be dealing with, let's say there are dust, they would have gloves, a lot of noise, low connectivity, correct? So then while you are designing a solution, while he also mentioned about the hardware perspective, when it's a software, then can you give on device or offline? Can it be voice enabled? Can it be hands free? Correct. So against the challenges, how can we typically align and design for the constraint? So that's one. Second is about the, and that's major, and that's where AI is also coming in place, reducing the cognitive load. So we always talk about the XR, but it's an intelligent XR, correct? So ultimately, point is how you can assist in they getting their work easier. So the workers will not never want that they will not learn the system. What typically they are looking at is they should be able to do their work faster and easier. So the technology should be invisible to them. So if we are able to make technology invisible, that's where the actual adoption comes into play. And the third piece is, can we meet, as in it's about analyzing the digital maturity of the end customer. Because not every organization or every individual will be at the same digital maturity level. So we need to interact with them, co-create if required, and then go ahead. So that's the 3 main piece which we try to follow when we execute any project.
Nice, thank you very much. But I like the point where you say the co-create. So I have one more question for you regarding that. So I'll come back to you on that. Thank you very much. So the next question is for Kuldeep. It's about policy and ecosystem angle. And what do you think that India needs first to support responsible and scalable XR adoption?
Yeah, so if we look at global south or India specifically, our biggest strength is our people. We have billions of people. So anything what we build is for all of them. So first is building awareness around XR. XR should not be treated like a standalone tech. It needs to be combined with existing solutions, IoT, or whatever solution we talk, robotics, drone-based solutions, and how it can reach us to masses like healthcare or agriculture, how a solution will reach us to farmers. Then the real adoption will start. So that's where when we are talking about ecosystem and policies, just like we have built UPI. Now UPI is reaching to every telewalas to a big one. That level we need to bring. At least if we are talking about educational reform, then these type of tools, if everyone is feeling they are going great and they can improve the education system, at least they need to go to a small school in the government school in villages. So that level of thing will need to happen, then automatically adoption and rest of the things start following. Yep.
That's great. I mean, that's really essential for a large-scale development, actually. And anybody wants to add any points before I move on to the next question? Sure. Thank you. So the next question is for Samir. How do you see AI complementing XR, especially in making interactions more intuitive or supportive for, especially for users of Global South?
Yeah, and I think that's the need of the hour right now. So the way we are looking at XR is that we don't want to replace the human being. We want to kind of augment the human being. And that's where I think the AI is playing a big role here. There's a concept called human-machine teaming. HMT is what we call it, right? Wherein how collaboratively the group of humans and the group of machines working together, and now with a group of AI agents working together, is actually amplifying the capabilities of the human being. And I think that's where this energy is moving. So for example, we have seen some of the sessions in the morning wherein, let's say, you are on the field force and the expert is guiding you from remote as if the expert is just besides you. So see what I see kind of a remote assistance, right? So that's a first level which is here and now. Now people are saying that, can I add a third element there wherein there is a set of digital agents using the agentic AI framework. Then these agents have different tools for doing a day-to-day job, etc. So you have a set of agents so that they actually perform the task along with you, right? So for example, if somebody is on the field, has to do the safety checklist, so there are a set of checklists somebody will have to perform, as opposed to manually doing it or reading it in a SOP document. Now I have a agentic AI, digital agents available behind the scene who knows all checklists one by one and doing a job for you. So it's not only giving you the information as an augmented information, but it actually is doing a job for you, right? So then, now it's a collaborative framework wherein there is a human, there is a kind of a physical machine, and there is a digital AI agents combining together and kind of creating that. So that's where the AI is actually making it more and more kind of intuitive, as well as the productivity improvement. The other aspect obviously is making it more inclusive, for example, right, for accessibility or other things. We have talked about the Meta kind of a glasses wherein they have the neural band coming in the next version of the glass, so that if people with a diverse skills or a diverse kind of capabilities, I can actually do lots of my basic day-to-day touch or the swipe or the pinch, all those things with the help of the neural band. So I don't need to have the sophisticated keyboard, etc. So I think that's where the AI is kind of helping a lot. And the third big area is in the XR adoption, if you really see, the content creation or even a solution creation is a very time-consuming job right now, right? So you need lots of effort to build a 3D assets. If you have thousands of retail product SKUs, etc., building the 3D model of each of them is humongous task, right? So that's where the Gen AI and the Gaussian splatting and those kind of techniques are coming into picture, wherein I can build these 3D assets faster. So you have a multi-model kind of a model available wherein prompt to 3D model or a text to 3D model or image to 3D model, not only for these small objects, but even for a large factories or a big equipment or complex equipment. So if the content is ready, then I think the adoption of XR will become more mainstream, and that's where AI is helping in a big way, right? So these are the areas wherein AI is actually complementing in the adoption of the XR.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much. All those are valid points, actually. And moving on to the next question. So my next question is for the KU. And what is the biggest barrier to large-scale XR rollout in industrial settings, especially for Global South?
So is per the experience which I have, many a times we tell that XR is costly, correct? The skills are not there. But as per my understanding, generally the major barrier is the change management and the trust which the organization, as in the customer and enterprise, would have on the solution. So the major problem or the struggle they face is that if, let's say, we bring in, will my frontline worker adopt this? Correct. So, and there are few more questions which they typically have. If we cross that, so let's say, for example, one is, while I bring in this solution, will my worker adopt? Will they resist? Because the fear is they feel that it will either replace them or they are intimidated by the sheer new tech which is coming in, correct? So if we are able to contextually create solutions which are more contextual, prompt-based and simple, I think then it can evolve. The other point is, many a times what happens, people feel because AI and XR are positioned in a disruptive manner, correct? So the adopters are always in a fear that since the processor already, the processor is in legacy process, legacy systems. So they have a fear that if this is implemented, how will I work, right? So how can this be molded in a way that it's, again, co-creation is a word where typically if their supervisors, their people who are going to be on the shop floor can be together while we are creating the prototype or the solution, then this again can be avoided. And the third, very, very most important is ultimately pilot be successful ho gaya. The last point is where the IT comes into play. Deployment, data, where will be the data? Reliability of the data, reliability of what is getting captured. So then the governance and that reliability angle, because IT will come last, but business will take, उनको solution अच्छा लग जाता है, सब हो जाता है, but then the nuances. Recently, what we are seeing as a change, and it might not be observed everywhere, but earlier the trend was of adopting SaaS-based solution. Slowly, again, people are moving back to perpetual. And even now, they are asking for solutions to be deployed on private network. So we ourselves are redesigning few of the elements for us to suit the solution which can work on private networks as well. So imagine having a video collaboration, remote support. Can it work on private network? Correct. On-premise private network without internet. So those kind of, things are changing. So, but yeah, ultimately it's about mindset and not the technology. So if we are able to manage the change management in a way that we take the people together and do it, then that barrier can be crossed.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much. So the next question is to Pawan, but feel free to jump in if any of you wants to add any points here. But when we talk about global south environments, we have like bright sunlight, like dusty spaces, crowded rooms. So what are the big interaction challenges you have seen, and how do we design for those conditions? Thank you.
Right. So I think the question can be looked at two different aspects, right? So firstly, like the data sets, right? So data sets are predominantly whatever the data sets that have been created for solving different problems, like what publicly available data sets for like solving specific type of problems are mostly like, either like most of the countries that are related to the global north. But when it comes to global south, just take an example, right? So I recently bought an electric car, right? So, it claims to have, very good ADAS capabilities and so on. The biggest problem there is that what I see is that I think the basic algorithms, right? So they're not really trained for scenarios in India, for example, right? So now, I mean, there is a saying, right? If you know how to drive in India, then you can possibly drive anywhere in the world, right? So now, for what it means is that I think driving is definitely totally, different experience here. So, basically the kind of scenarios that the user goes through is totally different. But what is happening is some of these products, which are possibly trained on data sets, not really, not really like scenarios that are related to these kind of conditions, are just being adopted here. So that's something that I think we should definitely avoid for XR, where XR definitely needs a local customization, right? So now, if XR is trying to solve a local problem, it needs to do justice in terms of how well you can really adapt your algorithms to that ecosystem or that kind of scenarios. So definitely, like you mentioned about scenarios like sunlight, dust, crowded environment. So these are all pretty common in the global south as well, purely because of a large consumption, large population, and so on. So definitely it needs a specific thought where XR should not possibly do the same mistake possibly ADAS did. So like for in automotive segment, because it's more of like, because they're trying to come very fast into the market, because people want to adopt these technologies very quickly, right? So now the companies are also like looking forward to kind of get something which is possibly working in elsewhere, trying to just bring it here, just because it's kind of selling, right? So now that's something that needs to be really thought of, and maybe bring in with local optimizations and local customizations, really important.
Sure. Thank you. Anybody wants to add any points to Pawan? Actually, yeah. Okay, sure. Thank you. So the next question is to Anup. So we all know that the diversity in India, especially for the users, is huge actually. And do you think there is value in large-scale user studies or data sets that academia could help create actually?
I think definitely yes. So having had a background in fashion too, so something we relate most often to ourselves. So Indian body type is very different, and most of the dresses hello.
Yep.
Yeah, most of the dresses we buy kind of like are manufactured from outside, and they are designed by North America's kind of, and it doesn't really suit our body type overall. So similarly, like XR is no different. Kind of like the device you wear depends on the skull structure, like how you're wearing it. And also, there's a lot of diversity in, say, especially your facial attributes and also your eye regions. You look at the ethnicities of different people. So kind of your solution should be adaptable to all these kind of variations that could occur. And definitely, there is a huge scope to study these things which are like barely untouched at the moment. So again, like I think I was discussing with you in the morning, so kind of like how many users can we actually get and how many users are willing to give their data so that like people understand what the variations are. And most importantly, there is also a problem of like consent and privacy here. So when you capture this data, how can you maintain the privacy so that like it's not breached? And also many users will be unwilling. I think we all have that, like I'm giving away my data. I don't know what they're going to do. So like they'll be unwilling to consent for these kind of studies. So yes, like we need to really think about like how we can actually do these studies. And also like it can't be limited to one place overall. So I think in the morning meta talk that we observed, so they have been collaborating, like it's a global kind of like consortium where they give their devices and like collect data and kind of like understand how the different features are. Similarly, something at the Indian level or in the global south should happen. So it cannot be limited to just some regions. So it should be pretty widespread over across different regions overall. And also like it should cover enough ethnicities.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, academy definitely, we need academia help here to kind of like create and understand these data sets overall.
Thank you very much. And so coming back to Kuldeep here, so about standards and policies, like we often talk about standards. So in your view, which areas urgently need guidelines? Safety, data, interoperability, or something else?
Well, urgently guideline everywhere needed. There are still lot of guideline to be done. That's why in this book, there are 2 chapters exploring the metaverse I written last year. There are 2 chapters talking about standards and policies. Even standards are at the level of device level, software development kit level. So, and even operating system of the device level, like where all those standards can be possible. Even interoperability, which we are talking, that has multiple angles, network, there are software what we are building, the SDKs what we are building, and even the standards, when we are talking about safety, it is not just safety of the environment. So one is of which environment will kind of what safety rules the devices should use, what all lighting conditions must be there, how much space should be there to actually use such some kind of solution on XR. And other thing is electromagnetic safety standards, like how long a device can be used, what age of the child can use. There are so many things, even if we see every excess usage is always bad. People are using mobile phone more than the other productive work. If consumption of reels is the or real use, then we need to see how these devices, when we bring to education, for example, what are the guidelines? So there are many interoperable standards, not just from technological perspective, but also from other aspects need to bring as a data safety, just like other members are talking, usability standards, what are the best practices, how the interoperability also comes from. Right now, everyone is inventing, everyone is building their own standards. There is nothing great sharing happening. So what are the best user experiences? Every device maker start producing their own best standards. Apple Vision Pro say, these are the best standards. Someone else will say some other standards. But what are best for consumers? How consumer can follow them? So, or how, because at the end, It is developer who will be building the solutions. Doesn't matter how great standards are defined by OEMs and other. So how developer can either cannot exploit them, cannot go beyond them because device already limit them at operating system level or SDK level. So standards need to go that level. It is not a simple mobile app where we are only touching the screen, or it is not a PC-based application. It is more immersive. When voice interactions comes, like it is easy to see, okay Google or hey Siri, but we need to understand it is continuously listening, continuously hearing you out. But
the moment when you said UK Google, I don't know how many of them had their mobile is turned on, like I'm not sure.
And when we are talking about these solutions, XR solution, we are tracking everything at your home, what brand you have at your home, everything is being recorded somewhere. No matter you are passing to cloud or not, somewhere it is recorded. That's why you are analyzing the depth and everything. So standards guideline needed at each small point.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you very much. And this is our last question for this session. And after that, I would like to take some questions from the audience as well, if you have any. And so this question is mainly for Pawan and Samir, both. So what kind of joint research or shared facilities could accelerate XR interaction research in India or the global south? Something that industry and academia could build together.
Right. Yeah, thanks for the great question. So I think collaboration when it comes to taking XR to the next level, right? So I think collaboration is one of the most important thing. Through our Galaxy XR, we showed 3 company collaboration. So this is possibly the first time where we had 3 very, very large companies collaborating to bring out a device which is going to give you a very, very immersive experience. Because this was needed purely because each of these 3 companies have something unique what they can deliver, and they have expertise in specific form, and they have built ecosystems in the past, and that is a very good formula that they're going to apply to XR as well. So a lot of these, it's like how you can basically complement each other, and it can come, right? So now same thing, like now you talked about academia, right? So now the industry has shown to be a significant thing, for now taking XR to the next level. Now the academia, so where academia comes in is basically to bring in so as you know, right, recently with AI coming in, the time from research to the product has significantly come down. So now that is where academia can really contribute, where academia can bring up concepts pretty quickly, in terms of like how, because they know the state of the art really well, and how if they can basically fine tune in terms of how they want to realize some of these, to take it to the user, right? So many times we look at academia where they want to basically publish and and then they want to take it, right? So now it's a good opportunity. XR is a very good opportunity in where you want to realize the academic strength and take that to the user, right? So that is where the collaboration will really help. And I think with the industry collaboration, I think it can only benefit the users. Right?
Sure.
So.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Samir?
I think time is up, but I'll just quickly wrap it up. So the problem with the industry generally is, let's say, for a bread and butter, they want to do something which is here and now, right? But with the industry collaboration, along with the academia, we can actually focus on what is future, and that's where the innovation will come, right? So while the industry can bring the client problems, something which is kind of hindering the adoption, and with this collaboration with the academia, it can be a win-win situation wherein you're also doing here and now problem statement, but then you're also making yourself ready for the future. And I think that's where the win-win collaboration can happen. That's the need of the hour.
Sure, thank you. And I have a few more questions, but we don't have enough time for that. And especially I told KU that I have a question on co-creation, but we can discuss later as well. Sure. Is there a time for audience to questions? No, actually. So we can wind up. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone. Yeah.
We thank Dr. Madan Kumar Vasudevan and all the panelists for an engaging and insightful discussion.